Was that your punter that got hurt? Who was it that got hurt? The wide receiver. Punt returns guy.
People are, yeah, big defensive star of that.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah,
A lot.
The big fair catch and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
We better build a fence around the punters for like. Make sure he doesn't get hurt.
Good. Yes. Look at have out permanently for the season. That's nice. I mean, everyone will be done. Without his first stars coming up this year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep.
You guys ready to go over here?
Yes, sir.
You guys ready to go over here? Everybody's online?
Yeah.
I see Jackie's thumbs up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is City Council regular business meeting for Thursday, November 16th, 2023. It is 6 p.m. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Reba. Here. Cool,
Here.
Livingston,
Here.
Mayor Tom Phillips.
I am here as well. All right, that just threw me. Next item on the agenda is pledge of allegiance. Would you please rise and say the pledge of allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 3 is the approval of the agenda. We're going to move item 6M to the regular agenda. Would anybody like to move any of the other consent agenda items to the regular agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Motion by Reva, seconded by Livingston. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Motion carries. Item 4 is dedicated work session. We don't have one this meeting, so we will move on. Item number 5 is welcome guests and public comment. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate citizen involvement in our meetings. At this point in time, we'd open up the dais for any public comment for non-agenda items. We'll give you a 3-minute time limit. We can't take action on those tonight since they're not on the agenda. Also, if you'd like to comment on any item in the consent agenda, now would be the time. Any takers tonight? Hearing none, we will move on. Item 6 is a consent agenda. We have expenditures. This is going to be a long one, so I'm going to get comfortable and take a breath. Tax abatements. We have the November 2nd, 2023 minutes of the regular city council meeting. We have approval of the fiscal year 25 tax increment financing certification. A resolution approving statutory end date for Apple Valley tax increment financing collections. A resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 annual urban renewal area report. A resolution approving supplement to the 2023 senior bond issuance certificate of Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority participating community. A resolution setting December 7th, 2023 for a public hearing regarding a zoning amendment to the Dunn property plan unit development regarding land use parcel C. We have a resolution approving the city's employee benefits renewal for January 1st, 2024. We have a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding for the Central Iowa Code Consortium. A resolution setting the schedule and location of Norwalk City Council meetings for 2024. We have a resolution officially naming publications for the city of Norwalk for calendar year 2024.
We pulled that one.
Nope, that's L.
That was L. That was naming
Oh,
publications.
sorry. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm on the wrong one.
You're good. We have resolutions approving pay estimates for the Norwalk Field House, and those are listed in the agenda. We have a resolution to approve partial payment number 4 to Thorpe Contracting LLC for the Wright Road Water Main Replacement Project. A resolution approving the disposal of city property. We have a resolution to approve pay estimate number 8 to Elder Corporation for Sunset Drive, Iowa Highway 28 and Beardsley Street intersection project. We have a resolution to approve final pay estimate to Howery Construction, change order number 2 and certificate of completion for phase 1 of the Great Western Trail connection. A resolution setting the date for public hearings on proposals to enter into general obligation loan agreements to borrow money for capital improvements project. We have resolution to approve change order number 5 to add and relocate fire alarm pole stations at the City State Bank Norwalk Fieldhouse. A resolution to approve change order number 6 to comply with redesign of the sprinkler system at the City State Bank Norwalk Fieldhouse. We have a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement with Warren County in regards to amended election precincts. Now we have monthly reports. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so I got a motion by Cool, seconded by Baker. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 6M is a resolution officially naming depositories for the city of Norwalk for calendar year 2024. The reason why this was moved to the regular agenda is because David's part of City State Bank. They're named as an official depository. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a motion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, so motion by Reva, seconded by Cool. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Abstain.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7, we have old and new business for consideration, discussion, and possible action. Item A is the second reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Norwalk, Iowa by amending the North Shore PUD. So we discussed this amendment to the North Shore PUD at our last meeting. You get anything to add, Luke?
Nothing new to add.
Discussion from the council or comments?
I'm having a real tough time with this because it's almost identical to what we did with the Legacy Circle. The Legacy Circle, they came up with some ideas, rezone it, and there's still no purchases. There's no information about it. And I think that's kind of what we're doing on the North Shore. We're making all these changes, but yet there's still no plan. What I would like to do, I think, and I'm not quite done talking about it, but I'd like to table it. I don't want to vote it down. If something came up right away, we could go ahead and untable it, move forward with it. Where if it gets voted down, then they have to wait a year. But I just have a feeling that there hasn't been a plan. There isn't, in other words, there isn't anything in the works. There's no buyers in the works. It could go on another 15 years. Everything north of the lake is just kind of a mess right now. And I don't feel like that is a reason to start changing zoning.
I guess my question would be, just to refresh it in my own mind, what's different with this one than the way it is as it's sitting now? What would be the change, I guess?
We can, Luke, can you pull up the exhibit? And I can walk you through, and applicants obviously can talk through their changes. But essentially, there's kind of two main areas of change. One would be the north side of the County Line Road Echo Valley Drive extension. So expanding commercial along that Echo Valley Drive extension on the north side. The north side of it, as you got kind of that corner, used to have some high density and some medium density pockets in there. So it's expanding commercial along that, and then that kind of high density stuff relocates down to the far west end of the development in the brown area on the map. And then that medium density kind of forms a buffer between the lake, single family, and then that next, I guess, tier of medium density. So you guys want to obviously add to that, but that's the gist of how that modified.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, I'd be happy to respond. Christopher Shires, principal of Confluence, 525 17th Street, Des Moines, Iowa, representing the property owner, road contractors. So I appreciate the comments. on, what has changed, and I think Luke did a great job. Really, we made the multifamily land go away. So as the property's been marketed and discussed, and as we have more information and kind of different buyers' desires, realize that some changes were definitely warranted, and we're also responding to the changes adjoining us on the Stark property. And so we have the senior family residential zoning in that Brown area. Then we have the townhome row house zoning up against the higher density shown on the Stark property. So really, it's in reaction to that, in reaction to different changes in the marketplace. So we just have a little more idea of what the potential is, and frankly, don't necessarily see kind of the harm in having this new zoning in place.
Well, we've already done that. That's what I'm talking about. Are there people purchasing this, or is there a plan, blueprints? I mean,
But
this is what kind of burned us on this last whole fiasco that we've been in.
Well, and so I guess I think that's a little unfair to characterize it as a fiasco. So as a property owner, we do have a right for zoning, and we can definitely petition the council and say, hey, we have some different ideas we'd like to try and market in a different way. And so it's being actively marketed and worked on, really with the goal to bring the best possible users for this property. We see this as, the great front door to the community. We want to get it right the first time, not looking for the quick sale, not looking for the quick buck, really looking on long-term, leaving a high quality project or multiple projects that frankly the community can be proud of. So we don't want to make a mistake. We have taken our time, even in pursuing this rezoning, really did a lot of thoughtful processes. And it's not uncommon to ask for changes and tweaks to the PUD. And so I guess I really don't see the harm in it. It is always the property owner's discretion on when something is sold and developed. And so just not in a hurry to just sell it to anything or any use, really want something of high quality and great value. So we would really, so we can continue marketing and what we've been working on in the different leads, it would hurt us to slow this down. To delay this rezoning, and I frankly do not see the harm in it. We're even reacting to other concerns neighbors have had about, well, we really want apartments there. Okay, there's no apartments there. So and I'm happy to go into more detail, but we really would encourage and do not see an issue with moving this thing forward.
So just to clarify, I think the fiasco that Brian was talking about is at the Legacy Circle, where we had 5 years ago, we had a developer come in and ask for a change in zoning with a project mind. So council changed zoning at that point in time, and now we have a different project going in that looks different than that. And that's the fiasco that we're talking about.
Gotcha. Not on specific to.
Yes, it's not, I don't think it's your property that's the fiasco.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think
Fire land right now.
It could be, we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, and I that's the other thing, we've been very careful to work with our neighbors. And so this does have the support of Lakewood. We've been very open and honest with our neighbors, frankly, wanting to do something that's really positive. A lot of great single family housing, some much needed and desired retail uses long-term, and frankly, some senior housing. Really think that this is a great location. So I guess I just can't reiterate enough. I don't see any reason how this is hurting the city. It's just a change to see based on, some of the marketplaces factors that we think that this property is maybe even better suited for.
But you don't think we can remedy that in a hurry with just going forward with the zoning after you've established some plan and buyers and transactions?
So
Like that?
that is always an option. However, I would say
Wouldn't hurt.
that does slow down and does scare away buyers. So what we don't know or how many people will go first and look, because this is typical. Everything's online. We have a project website, you have a city website. Oh, nope, not zoned for what we want. Move on to the next site. So we lose a lot of leads just not having zoning in place. And there's a lot of, especially today in our climate right now, if we don't have the zoning in place, the development community is very risk adverse. They won't spend the time with us. Time is more money than usual. So interest rates are really cooking all of us. They're making it harder to make deals happen. And so we need to be ready. And I mean, we've got all the design controls in place, all the rules and regulations. We went above and beyond what even standard city code says. Yeah. So I mean, I really, it's not a dramatic change. It's actually getting rid of the multifamily that was very unpopular. So I guess I look at this as a positive thing. It's even more retail valuation, which I know has been in the interest of the community and in a good location. So that's our feelings on it. Really don't see the harm and really would ask just approve that second reading and third reading, and we'll move on with life and continue to market this property for the right users, for really everybody.
So I have a question. So this C1 assisted living, I just want to make sure that if we change this, this is one of the changes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I just want to make sure, I guess I'm asking Luke Parrish probably. I just want to make sure, C1 allows for more than assisted living, correct?
So the way that they have proposed the land use parcel in the PUD, it restricts it only to senior restricted multifamily residential. So typically a high density would allow for more than that, but they have gone beyond what our standard code would say and have restricted it to only a senior project. And if you want to see the page 16 of the staff report, when you get into the actual PUD language, I think it's page 10
No,
of.
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to clarify that
Yep.
the difference, as I see it, between this and what happened with Legacy is that this specifies and ties this change to seeing assisted living. It doesn't just open it to any C1, it ties it specific to senior assisted living housing, right? So to me, that's the difference between what happened with Legacy and this change.
I think I was referring to not just the senior housing, but not having a buyer or a plan could change.
I
That's
do
what I was
understand
talking about.
that,
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, but I guess from my perspective, what I'm trying to convey is that I'm comfortable with this because of the way that it's written and what it ties it to. I think not having multi-home and having assisted living is an improvement to this plan. So
I agree.
Hey, just a point of clarification. I think the labeling on the parcels is part of what you're seeing there, Jackie. C1 is not referring to commercial. C1 is just the label that they're assigning. Like if you look to the
Correct.
north, it says
Oh.
B3.
okay, yep, I see that. Thanks for that clarification, Luke.
The zoning is actually R3.
Gotcha, thank you.
So are there any other restrictions elsewhere on the property other than just the zoning? You know, any particular?
I didn't want to break procedure. So short answer is yes, we've added some additional use restrictions and some additional building design standards. And they're consistent with what the original PUD is. And the other thing I would note, because I forgot about this, this is consistent with the update to the comprehensive plan as well. I should remember that.
You should be familiar with that.
You and all people.
David, you got a question?
I was just gonna say that I don't have a problem with this, because I think that this PUD actually restricts the uses a little more than what the old PUD did, so. That's all I had.
Yeah, I kind of like this better, to tell you the truth about it, and with them putting a little bit more restrictions on it. I like it better. I can understand where you're coming from, though, that, you know, jumping back and forth all the time, and, you know, why are we doing these exercises, right? If there's not a compelling reason, right? But But I do like this better than the way it was before, to tell you the truth.
I actually liked it with multifamily in it, but,
I did too.
I fully expect that this is gonna change again. And I would hope that the reason for doing this, if by putting the commercial there, is not to get the road paid for to put residential.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up.
I will be here, but.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions from discussion from council or any public comment?
I would make a motion to approve. Good reading.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I got a motion by Livingston, a second by Lester. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reva,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes,
Livingston,
Yes,
Lester.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries.
I would
I-
move to waive the, right, isn't this possibly more? Possibly the final, so I'm
This was just a second reading.
trying to go for,
Next one will
thought
be,
it said both, I apologize.
oh, you're good.
Okie dokie, sorry.
Item 7B is
Okey-dokey.
second and possibly final reading of an ordinance amending the legacy PUD within the city of Norwalk, Iowa by allowing the homes per acre in PUD parcel 3 to be up to 25 and to exempt 20 studio apartments from the city's balcony patio requirement. So we had the first reading at our last meeting. After several months of discussion. Luke, do you got anything to add?
Nothing new?
All right, any discussion or comments from council? Any public comment?
I'm Steve Jacobson from 846 Sawgrass. My wife and I are disappointed that the council members have decided to proceed or seem to have decided to proceed with the Nelson project in spite of objections from many residents, but we would ask if the actual number of people occupying this small space might be kept to an absolute minimum, as Mr. Baker talked about last time. And if every effort could be made to preclude any similar undertakings of this size in the near future of this wonderful smaller community where luckily new arrivals desire to reside. Especially when there is currently a glut of rental units being reported across the media in the metro, with more nearing completion. Last time there was some comment about having affordable housing for teachers or new teachers. I would just comment, when our family first moved to the Des Moines region, there was no one assuring us of affordable housing in the immediate area where we worked. It's common knowledge that the Des Moines worker travels as long as 45 to 60 minutes one way to arrive at their place of employment. On a slightly different topic, if you have not looked at Norwalk's rental properties west of the Greg Young dealership, please do so. On the south property, you will notice pop-up campers, abandoned vehicles, stacked tires, and stacked construction materials parked in the west lots for months at a time, with 2 refuse collection points, one of which regularly is vulgar to the site. It's resembling a small dump, basically. Now, I'm well aware of this situation because I'm often on site as a volunteer for Norwalk Food Rescue. The management and residents do what they can to contain the problem, but it's an ongoing issue. Therefore, I would ask if the city council could please consider having resident parking and refuse points of the Nelson property be located in an interior portion of the development so that the refuse collection points are not visible from the Colonial Circle roadway. And might the units with balconies be placed facing interiorly so that they hopefully would not be seen from the circle either. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve second reading?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Rivas, seconded by Livingston. Any
I have a
further discussion?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, on the design for this building and the layout. Don't we normally require barriers up around those refuge sites?
We require what we'd call a trash enclosure, so, I think they're usually brick, but yeah, you have to put your dumpsters inside something so that
Yeah, so that you
they're
can-
not visible.
they're not visible.
As
Right.
far as where that's located, we typically don't have a requirement other than normal setback.
Right, but it has to be contained within
Yes.
a barrier like that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
No.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Would anybody like to make a motion to waive the third reading?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Rivas, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
No.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Welcome to the neighborhood, Alex.
That is uncalled for.
Yeah, thank you. It's our neighborhood.
All right, item 7C. We have second reading of an ordinance creating a new chapter 77 golf carts, providing for the limited operation of golf carts on specifically designated golf cart paths and for the crossing of city streets. So we had the first reading of this ordinance at our last meeting. Chief, you got anything to add?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Anything you have to add?
No.
Okay, any discussion or comments from council? Or public comment?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Baker, seconded by Reva. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Go get
Motion.
them, chief.
Motion carries. Item 7D is first reading of an ordinance amending section 176.095C, performance surety, and 176.096A, maintenance bonds, deleting section 110.09 regarding natural gas franchise fees, and section 110.10 regarding electric franchise fees of the Norwalk City Code. So we'd like to make some non-substantive changes to the ordinance to correct some grammatical errors and to remove some language regarding franchise fees, since we don't collect franchise fees. Lindsay, you got anything to add?
No, I don't.
All right, any questions or discussion from council?
You know, my understanding is that the state code still has it where we could collect franchise fees from telegraphs. I thought that was interesting. Just a thought.
Wow.
Yeah, who would have guessed that?
That's what Des Moines is using to circumvent the DART funding.
Yeah, there you
Seriously,
go.
that's
Really?
what they do.
Yeah, franchise fees?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that at Matt.
The reason why it's in the city's ordinance is the council back then did pass it with that in it, but it failed on a vote. Because once you have the franchise fees, then it has to go to a public vote, and it failed the public vote, and it's just kind of been sitting there ever since, and our city clerk felt more comfortable not having it in there.
Thank you. Any public comment?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Rivas, seconded by Baker. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7E is discussion regarding public infrastructure extension to Maple Heights development. Luke, I'm gonna let you take this one.
All right, so bear with me as I go through the details here and stop and ask questions if you need. So probably 2017-18 timeframe, Wayne and I sat down, looked at our land use plan, took some info from Holly as she was working on economic development, and just identified some areas that needed service extensions, and got those programmed into the out years of our CIP. So currently in the city CIP, we have a water main extension up 50th and a sanitary sewer main extension that would essentially serve the area east of 50th and north of Middle Creek and Colchester and North Shore and all of that. So we had those in our CIP and they've just kind of sat there without any real movement on them. And I believe they've kind of been moving up as it goes, but it was more just a placeholder and acknowledgement that at some point in time, the city would need to extend services to those areas, particularly if any commercial development happened. We then earlier this year engaged Lone Tree and the Maple Heights development in some areas that they were looking at purchasing on the Stark property. That resulted in the Maple Heights planned unit development that we rezoned earlier this year. During that rezoning process, we obviously began discussions about what service extension would look like. We noted that we'd done an agreement with signature companies for Shadow Creek, where they upfronted that cost of the infrastructure installation to meet their timing rather than the city's timing. And so we kind of left that sit out there and said, hey, start working on that infrastructure. Primarily the sanitary sewer being the bigger one, with the water main only having to go through the right of way of 50th. The sewer would need easements through the road contractors North Shore property. So they worked on that a little bit, but they've not made the progress that they were hoping on the timeline that they would, as far as acquiring and working on that sanitary sewer. So they're asking for some input from council on some agreements related to that water and sewer infrastructure. On the sewer side, they're asking for that to become a city project, which would mean we would design the project. We would acquire any easements like we would in a normal project, and then we'd bid it as a public project and it would go out for construction like any other sanitary sewer. And that would extend to the southeastern edge of Maple Heights. There's a map in your packet, I think on the 5th page, that shows the draft idea of what that would look like. Tony with V&K put that together for us. Lone Tree would then fund that initial design and construction of the sanitary sewer. We would incur the cost, we would pay them, and Lone Tree would pay us. And of course, we'd have to do an agreement to that. And then we would set up a benefited sanitary sewer district over the area served by that sewer and utilize those funds to pay Lone Tree back for that extension. And then similarly with a water main, same type of thing where they would upfront those costs, though with it being in the right of way, they could go ahead and design and construct it themselves without it having to be a city public project. And then again, utilizing some city funds from an existing, we already have a benefited water district up there. So we could utilize some of those funds, or we could establish a new district if we wanted to as well. So really what we're trying to answer here for them today is council's general thoughts on that. If you'd like it for us to proceed with working on these agreements more and putting them together for you to look at the details, any specific things that you think are necessary to include in those agreements if we decide to go that route. And if that's what we want to do, we'll jump right on that and get something drafted. We've already got some preliminary drafts put together, but obviously can amend those. From our staff perspective, we've had a lot of discussion on it. We think it's a good idea and an efficient way to bring some services to that whole Stark property and the north corner of the 50th County Line Road corridor Holly, I know at times has had people interested in that corner. And if we ever have a commercial project go on there, we'll definitely have to do those extensions anyway. This would be a little more efficient way to do that, being that we only have to bring the services up to the Lone Tree property and then they would extend them beyond. Additionally, beyond that, as we just saw the North Shore project here on our PUD, this would give some access to the North Shore as well. Once their development got progressed enough, that road access would be there. So there's really kind of a couple things to go on there from a maybe a midterm planning standpoint. Looking at our comprehensive plan, we've got commercial along Highway 28, obviously, that we're working on and filling up. And our kind of next commercial corridor that we'd identified was that 50th corridor and the county line corridor through 28 to 50th. So it kind of starts getting us in that direction when we're thinking, hey, in the next 10 years, maybe we consume all that commercial ground on Highway 28, fingers crossed, right? I mean, that's our goal. Where's that next area that we want to have commercial growth happen? And that's kind of the next area, again, 50th and county line over to 28. That's the next spot. So.
Yeah, that would make sense to me because you could open up that whole area for service without having to build a single lift station.
We don't, Wayne's not here, but he would definitely agree that we do not want to do that.
You can save money, actually, because you probably get a better service for that area up there, so it makes sense to me.
Why is Lone Tree unable to get the easement?
I think it's more dealing with timing of things. They have their diligence as far as purchasing the property and wanting to move on with that. I know they've been in contact with the North Shore folks and trying to do that. And, you know, that's a bigger process to handle when you have two private entities working together. I don't know if, I think they were trying to join via Zoom. So if they are on, they might want to talk more to that. But from where the city stands, it seems to be more of a timing perspective than anything.
Well, I like the Maple Heights project. I think this is a great idea to do something similar to what we did with Signature. I have a real problem with the city stepping in to negotiate the easement, only because of the parties involved and the recent experience with the city and members of this council and city staff spending literally hundreds of hours and time and money to work something out with road contractors and having it go nowhere. I don't see that this easement is going to have any different outcome. And so I don't see why the city would spend any more resources on this. If everybody else disagrees and you want to go forward with this, I mean, I'm not going to be on council, but I would suggest you have a very strong deadline date. And that would be something very short, like July 31st of 2024. And that time, an agreement has to be done. It has to be signed by everybody, not just, oh, we agree and we might sign, but let's change one more thing 16 more times. But to actually have a signed agreement. And if you don't have it by then, that's all, city's out. Because it will drag on and on and on. If past experience is any indicator.
I agree totally. Only I think then we go on to condemnation.
Well, I think what we have started as far as normal operating procedure when trying to acquire easements like this is that you start the negotiation process because you do have a timeline. So you start the negotiation process, you start the condemnation process at the same time. So that when you get to the timeline, you know, at the end of that timeline, you either have your deal or you're going to condemn and just move forward with condemnation. So I think those would have to go on at the same time.
And Mayor, I'll just add to that, that has actually become part of our policy that we operate, that we kind of run those processes parallel.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to send the city's interest to do that, actually.
Don't think so. I think you want to get ahead of you.
How is that, Michael?
Right?
Jackie, you talking to us?
I can't hear you.
I'm very sorry. I thought I was muted. I apologize.
All right.
Okey doke.
So, yes, I agree that we need to set a date.
And I wouldn't even like to go as far as what she suggested. I think this has been massaged and nauseated enough. It needs to move a little quicker. What did you throw out, Stephanie? What was it?
I just said July
Just throw out
31st,
date, yeah.
2024. It's the fiscal year, so.
I can't imagine.
You wouldn't think it'd take that long.
I wouldn't either.
Correct.
I know.
You wouldn't think, you wouldn't think. So,
I think it's definitely a viable option. I think we move forward on that.
so move forward with the city taking the project.
Yeah.
Letting Lone Tree upfront cost. And recouping as they, recouping the cost as they develop.
Because it's in our best interest to get it up north.
Yeah.
To the very top.
And
where
one
the
of our,
commercial is.
one of the things during our internal discussions about that became a point that we don't have in our draft right now, but I think is a key point that we're going to add to that is similar to Stephanie's conversation about some deadlines, is that there is a point in time in the future where it's got to be extended through the Lone Tree property. So, because again, a big impetus of doing this is not necessarily just the Lone Tree property, but the entire Stark property development. So wanting to make sure that we get that extended through their development in a timely fashion so that Holly can go out and do what she does on that additional commercial.
Yeah. Or should we move it up, do you think, Luke? I mean, you're looking at sometime in March?
Well, let's
Do some more investigation and find a date, reasonable date.
So, and part of just for on the Lone Tree side of stuff, they're just asking us to do the sewer like we would do any other city project.
Okay.
And I think our understanding of some meetings we've had with the road contractors folks, and they're here as well, they can mention things, but I think they preferred it to be a city project from my understanding. So
Okay.
we're then just gonna start that process, and then any timing as far as easements and sewer construction, then that goes with that process, not necessarily the agreement with Lone Tree. If that
So
makes sense.
two separate agreements. One of them would be for the easements to get the sewer pipe to Lone Tree. The second one would be with Lone Tree to get the sewer pipe to their northern boundary. Is that what you're saying?
That'd be two different points of the agreement. I think the next thing the council would see would be some sort of a development agreement. I'm not sure what we title it. With the Lone Tree people basically saying, you know, this is what we're gonna do, and lay out the payment terms on how they're gonna upfront the money, and you know, we'll have things in there like, you know, irrevocable letters of credit and all that stuff that the council's seen before, so we make sure the money's there to pay for it when it's due. So that would be the first step, is for you to see that agreement, and contained in that agreement is we'll have to decide whether it's, you know, we have a sewer agreement and a water agreement, because we also talked about the water there on the west that has to come up the right of way. So that would also be put in front of the council. And at that point in time, once that gets approved, one of the, you know, the aspects of part of the performance of the city of Norwalk would be to start proceeding with obtaining easements and working with the project. And that would be a public project, take public bidding, things like that, but also part of that is obtaining those easements. So first part is going to be those agreements. Second part is going to be kind of laying out a schedule of events on how we would expect it to proceed to the point of having things get built. And part of that agreement will also talk about extending those services to, you know, through the Lone Tree property. So we ensure that our goal of having that entire basin that's going to be served by this sanitary sewer to be, you know, have sewer available for it.
But
So I have
nothing would prevent us from negotiating the agreement on the right of way that wouldn't be executed until the development agreement is signed, right?
I think
By
you're,
the developer.
yeah, but I think you're gonna see the development agreement in front of you in the next meeting or two. I would expect.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna be very short. You're gonna see
So it won't be a problem. Is what you're saying.
the development agreement.
Time-wise, it won't be a problem, the sequence.
No, because we wouldn't want to start on the process of obtaining easements and everything until that development agreement's entered into, but that development agreement, you're gonna see it fairly short term.
All right.
Sorry, Jackie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So I'm just trying to make sure that I understand. The ask is for the city to negotiate easements for the city for public infrastructure, or for the city to negotiate easements for private infrastructure. I'm not sure I understand that.
Okay, this will be public infrastructure. It'll be a trunk sewer line. It is being initiated at this point in time as a result of a private developer's request. Like Luke said, it wasn't our future plans, but it necessarily wasn't on the immediate future plans. And I think the immediacy is moved up because we do have a request from a private developer that wants to start there on the North Shore. So it will be a public infrastructure. It will be a city public infrastructure into the future.
All right, I just do not want to get into another situation like we did with, well, two things. I don't want to go back to what we dealt with, I don't know, what would that be, the South Shore, with that easement for the new development that caused all those problems that the city got some benefit of, but it was never city property. And I also don't want to go back to where we were 2 years ago with road contractors. So I'm not opposed to looking into this, into putting a plan together, but I'm not committing. Just want to be very clear. I'm not committing to anything without seeing what it says and really evaluating what the effect would be.
Another point that I think we need to discuss and make very clear is that the concept of this project is one where we have the opportunity of a private developer that is willing to finance this project. And Jackie, I know you just spoke of the signature company. That was the Shadow Creek Estates development that needed to run that sewer behind all the homes on the South Shore. Where this would be similar to that is that the developer would fund the project, whether it becomes a city project and we physically perform the work, do the bidding, everything, and they pay the bill. And then as assessments within that fee district are paid, we reimburse the developer. It's kind of like a rebate project, so to speak. But the true opportunity here is that it's not the city having to outlay those funds up front. It's a private developer being willing to absorb that risk.
And I appreciate that. And I do agree that if it works like that, and if everything goes the way it's supposed to, that is a great benefit to the city. But my observation of what has happened with recently in the last couple of years with some of these, what I see is similar, at least in theory, it has not gone that way. And I am not interested in the city spending time and money and effort to negotiate between two parties when it's not our issue to negotiate. So again, I am absolutely willing to go forward with the next step, but I don't want anybody to be confused that my willingness to go forward with the next step is any kind of commitment from me, because I don't know yet.
Right. You don't really know until you see the development agreement.
Right.
And I think that's really what we're asking for, is pretty much the way Jackie summed it up, is to be comfortable enough to allow us to proceed to put together that draft agreement and then come back for action.
Yeah. Everybody good with that?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
We'll do that.
Got it?
I mean, yes.
Thank you for using the
Put that on
microphone.
record.
Yes. All right. Item number 8 on the agenda is future agenda items. Council have anything that they want to see on a future agenda?
You know, I was thinking the other day,
Uh-oh.
right? And, we just did this rezoning business and the zoning and I was thinking to myself,
Ed, could you move up to the microphone so we can hear you, please?
I'm sorry, let me get a little closer to the microphone. I was thinking to myself the other day, I do that sometimes. And one of the concerns that we had with the circle up there on the legacy was a change in how we conceptualized what was going in there, right? So I said to myself, you know, maybe a simple way to control this might be to take a finer edge on a zoning definition, right? So we could maybe take a look at or discuss maybe at a work session different options of what we might include in a very narrow definition of zoning.
Sure.
So we could more precisely control where those types of things would be located.
That hits very well with some stuff that we've started to do internally where, so whenever, you know, we just did our comp plan year ago, but right around, the cycle's usually comp plan zoning, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure our zoning stuff matches with what we're saying in our comp plan.
Yeah.
But then that's also an opportunity to come back and do a deeper dive if you all want. And so, I mean, we could work through and do some work sessions. Now, you're asking me to come talk to you about zoning stuff, so just understand what you're asking. But I would be happy to do that, and that would be a good, it would be helpful for us as a staff as we begin to do our own internal review of stuff to know
Good.
where things are at.
Because, you know, each of the council members might have their own point of view on what they'd like to see a narrow focus on.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So maybe we could come to some kind of a, you know, which might help you out a little bit.
Yeah, that would, giving us some, we'll do a kind of broad brush across
Alright.
everything.
Okay.
But then if we know some specific areas that you all want us to look into, that would be helpful.
If we could put that in a work session, maybe Mayor coming up and
Sure.
kind of get it moving. Thank you.
Yep.
I
Sounds
thought of that on my own, all by myself.
All by yourself? Anything else? Item 9 is council inquiries and staff updates. Luke Nelson.
Sorry,
Maybe-
hunting for the mute button. Sorry about that. Just two quick things. One, legislative priorities. Around this time each year, we go through an agenda statement that kind of outlines our future legislative priorities. And in the past, we've been pretty closely aligned with the League of Cities. I anticipate this year I'm going to be bringing something forward that'll look a little bit different. I feel that Norwalk may be aligning more with the metro, other metro communities, and establishing some priorities that we want to push forward at the state level. So we'll be having some more discussion about that in the coming couple months. And then the Southwest Corridor planning. As you recall, we've hired Snyder and Associates to work on that Southwest Corridor that's closely related to the North River Interceptor. They've been doing some good work, and we're getting close to having a draft plan put together that'll be coming forward, probably some type of a work session early the first quarter of 2024. That's all I have.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Jackie?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Thank you. Brian?
Have we gotten any calls as far as like for the compost bin, the great big bins and the sacks? The last day is the 21st or that week. We've kind of, at the Metro Waste, we've been looking at trying to extend that for a couple weeks, but it's not without cost. And I was just wondering if you've gotten any.
We have not yet. I can answer to that I'm aware of anyhow,
Yeah.
but that
A lot
doesn't
of the
go.
leaves aren't off the
I
trees
was gonna say
yet,
that
so-
doesn't go without
Seems early.
saying that we will. 'Cause we
Yeah.
get them every year after it's over
Yeah.
with the
and-
nicer weather.
Yeah, and the problem is they're taking longer for the leaves to fall, and so it's like we have one or two more. I forgot which one, but.
I wouldn't mind if that could get extended itself.
Well, it's not gonna be without cost, and so I don't know how we figure out. What I first was trying to do was time shift, start later, but they say that there's a million gardeners out there that are chomping at the bit to start it. I don't know, the problem is it's a lost leader. No one wants the compost business anyway, only if you group it with the garbage do you even get it picked up.
Okay.
I have no idea how we're gonna do it if we can't get anyone to take it.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah,
I was gonna say there's also a window after Christmas typically where they let the trees get picked up, but they'll pick up the bags at the same time. So
Yep. that is
right.
2
It's-
weeks. You get
it's a
2
two-
weeks that it'll pick up. Yeah, if our pickup is on Tuesday or Wednesday, you get 2 Tuesdays and 2 Wednesdays. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that
I-
is included.
I think we just need to have, if staff gets calls or whoever gets phone calls about that, just reminding them that that's coming up, I think is a good response at this point.
Okay, That's it.
Okay, thanks. Lindsay.
No.
All right. Robin? Jean?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Wow. Holly?
Hopefully everybody got the announcement today about mullets coming to Norwalk Central. It's pretty exciting. It's gonna be a good sized facility, so 6,000 square feet. They'll have indoor, outdoor patio space and games and all sorts of cool stuff in there. So that's came out today, and then in 2 weeks, we'll have a couple other announcements for Norwalk Central coming out, which are even not more exciting than mullets, because that's pretty awesome, but pretty exciting, these next few coming out. And then on Monday, November 27th, we have the event at the River Center in downtown Des Moines, which is the end of mission farewell event for the Consul General. And Norwalk is hosting this, and we're emceeing it, so hopefully some leadership can be there, but pretty cool event. Governor will be speaking, Ambassador will be there, and General Osborne will be speaking as well. So if you want any more information, just let me know.
Thank you. Jean Kelly.
No report tonight. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Chief.
Yeah, at the last meeting, I mistakenly announced that the trial for Mr. Stouty would start November 29th. That is actually the start of depositions, and the trial won't be until the summer of 2024. So I wanted to get that out there. They expect the trial to be in June. Today I went to Sioux City to participate in the graduation ceremony of the Western Iowa Technical Community College Police Academy for our newest officer, Officer Cork. He graduated top in his class academically and top in his class with the pistol shooting. Very high praise from the director of the academy. Everything there seemed to be top notch. It's an option for us to send certain candidates to. It's only available for for police recruits that have a 4-year degree in criminal justice, psychology, or sociology. And they have to be accepted because it's a shorter academy. Something we might consider going forward because it's shorter and it's cheaper than going to IOA. And then you may have noticed that we have applications open, and we've got 17 so far. It's a kind of an eclectic mix of people, and it closes on November 28th. So if you know anybody who's interested in being a police officer, now's the time to apply. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you. Chief.
Nothing, thank you.
Who do we have online? Tony?
Nothing else for me tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
All right. Wayne? No, Wayne's not on. Barry?
Just me. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that all of you knew that you were invited to the employee luncheon. It's going to be on Friday, December 1st, at the Public Safety Building in the fire bays. It'll be from 11 to 1. We'll have a food truck there. We'll have games set out. It'll be a good time. So feel free to join us. That's it.
All right.
Luke. Issued 3 commercial permits today, one for the Norwalk Retail Shell Building. That's next to the Fairfield Inn. And then 2 interior finishes up on the Forget Turnberry retail building. One is a nail salon and the other's a mental health clinic. So getting those going. Housing permits still just chugging along kind of at a slow pace. So that's going well. Got a couple of our inspectors are out getting some additional certifications this week, so we're looking forward to getting them back because we've had a busy week on that side. And then we're doing interviews for our chief building official opening 2 weeks from now, right?
November 30th.
Yep.
So, cool. Thank you. Ed?
Got hold of the governor's scheduling office, and the scheduler is supposed to call me back for the discussion that I communicated with you about the tax laws and so forth. But other than that, I have nothing else for you.
All right, thank you. David?
2 things. Luke, Paris, I think for your office, the gentleman spoke earlier about the Legacy Landing garbage overflow stuff. I'm guessing that would be technically a complaint that we probably should have addressed. I'd at least like your staff to follow up on that a little bit if you would.
Got a note written down already.
Thank you. Then just a quick update on the North Middle River water shed. Sorry. Watershed Management Authority. It's a really long name. We approved a whole bunch of stuff this last go around. We're applying for the DNR grant. It goes out next week, finalized. I thank the council for approving the money the last time. It got Carlisle and Indianola to decide they should probably give a little bit to this project as well. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Stephanie.
Just at the MPO meeting today, the recommendation was for the executive director search committee to bypass using a consultant and just use internal staff to interview people. And the policy committee actually voted no.
Oh, good.
So they'll have a consultant by fun times continue.
Will I get a tutoring session on the inner workings of MPO
Yeah.
before you leave,
It's gonna cost
please?
you a lot though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's
All right. Thank you. Jim.
One thing I've got is, we discussed, litigation at the last meeting. I just want to let the council know that as of right now, there isn't any, there hasn't been anything productive on the settlement talks. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I got two things. Number one, I'm gonna be sending you Luke's review. It's that time of year. So fill that out once I get, and we'll probably do the review the second week of, or the second meeting of December. We'll do a closed session on that. And then the second thing is, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. That's coming up in a week, so that'll be fun. And enjoy any time off that you have. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Reba, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Bye.
Aye. All those opposed, same. We're adjourned, 7:01 PM.
All right.